Last time on Searcher 64th.
So I set off TNT to try and bait them towards the portal room. Uh-oh, what am I gonna do now?
I just want you to absolutely come at me full force.
Oh, it literally said I was 64 hits ahead of you.
Hey!
Damage. How do we deal it? We went over conventional damage sources, as well as how you take damage, as well as my top 3 worst moments. Today, however, we're going to go over those other types of damage you can take in 1.8. Some obvious non-conventional damage we can deal is fall damage. Getting hit off a tall place can be scary, but can be very easily negated. Water, ladders, beds, hay bales, slime blocks, and potions can either completely negate fall damage or reduce it to a livable point. While armor itself doesn't stop fall damage, protection and feather falling can subtract it to a point. Feather falling's equation is 12 times the level, which then turns into the percent, which means up to a max of a 48% reduction in fall damage. We'll get on to potions eventually. Lava is probably the next most popular way of unconventional damage. Lava does a base of 2 hearts, or 4 points of damage per half second. Then you stack that with the damage from fire, which we'll talk about in a little bit, which take 1 point of damage, and then more over time. This can be lowered either through protection or fire protection, or completely negated with fire resistance. Speaking of fire resistance, let's get into potions, starting with instant damage. Level 1 instant damage potions deal 3 hearts of damage, 6 points of damage, and a level 2 instant damage potion does double that, with 6 hearts of damage, or 12 points of damage. These are lowered with the protection enchantment, but it will go through armor, meaning that if you had a leather set of armor all enchanted with Prot 4, you would subtract the same amount of damage as if you were wearing a diamond set with Prot 4. Poison potions are self-explanatory. They deal damage over time at a rate of 1 point of damage, half a heart. No way of really negating it besides like milk or something. Poison effects can go crazy with commands though. A level 2 poison potion, which is possible in survival, deals 1/2 heart of damage per 12 ticks, which is about 0.6 seconds. When we get to poison level 3, you receive damage every 6 ticks, which is double as fast at 0.3 seconds. For level 4, it's 0.125. And level 5 and beyond is every tick, basically. However, Minecraft has this odd thing where when you take damage, you're invulnerable to taking damage for a moment. I know, it's crazy.
And lava?
We'll move on from potions for now. Anvils are pretty easy to understand. After an anvil falls, a single block, it will start dealing 1 heart of damage per block. The damage will cap at 20 hearts or 40 points of damage. Wearing a helmet can protect 25% of the damage, but it would take massive amounts of damage, meaning if you want to break somebody's helmet, anvil's probably the way to go. Now we get to suffocation. If a block is transparent or doesn't fill a whole block, it will cause suffocation. So stuff like slabs, leaves, glass won't cause suffocation. However, barrier blocks, beacons, ice blocks, slime blocks, and spawner blocks can cause suffocation. However, if you start to suffocate, you'll take 1 point of damage every half second, and there's no way to prevent this other than just don't suffocate, bro. Drowning is different to suffocation, in which you'll take 1 heart per second after running out of air. Not very complex. Hunger is very similar to drowning, except you take 1 point of damage, which is a half heart every 4 seconds. Cacti and berry bushes are pretty much the same. You lose 1 point of damage every half second when close to them. Burning is slightly different to lava. You can only take damage from a fire source, being flint and steel in 1.8, unless you have fire resistance. If you're standing in that, you'll take 1/2 heart of damage per second. And on the topic of fire, now we move on to the wither effect, which deals 1/2 heart of damage per 2 seconds. And if it's level 2, it deals that damage every second. And for level 3, it's 2 points of damage, and every level after that is pretty much the same. Void damage takes 4 points of damage every half second. Now, what you've all been waiting for. TNT, I think. Well, really, explosions. Let's start at the bottom. Both of the Wither's explosive skeleton shots are worth 1 TNT level and inflict Wither 2 on players, and it has a difficulty-dependent damage. These 2 projectiles have the same explosive power as a gassed fireball. Next up is Creepers, who have an explosive level of 3 and also have a difficulty-dependent damage. All of these guys do. Next up is Beds, which have an explosive level of 5. Then we get to the Charge Creeper with explosive level of 6, and that is the strongest explosion source in 1.8. And Lightning does 5 points of damage, but I'm pretty sure that's negated by Protection. Now, other than these sources of damage, we just gotta look at mobs, which there's not that many in 1.8, and there's even fewer that are really that dangerous. So let's take a look at top 5 most damaging mobs in hard mode. So let's take a look at the most damaging mobs to the least damaging. Top 5. Obviously, the Wither's entrance is rather explosive. Dealing a maximum potential of 103.5 points of damage, the Wither would obviously be number 1. Sigh! This guy's only number 2. The real number 1 is a Charged Creeper, doing 127.5 points of damage, or 63.75 hearts. Technically, number 2 is also the Creeper at 64 points of damage, but yeah, let's just move on. So far, we have the Charged Creeper, the regular Creeper, then the Wither. 4th place goes to the Iron Golem. Kind of. The Iron Golem has a variable amount of damage it can do. It can do anywhere from 11.25 points of damage to 32.25 points of damage. And here's where I would put the Ghast. For some reason, the Minecraft wiki lists the Ghast as being able to do 11.25 hearts of damage. But I couldn't get this to happen, so for 5th place, it's going to go to the Ender Dragon with its melee attack, dealing 7.5 hearts or 15 points of damage. Although, in theory, if a zombie were to stumble across a diamond sword and use it on a player, it would take the spot as well. But if that sword happens to have sharpness, and maybe fire aspect, then the zombie can take 5th place for sure. Most mobs in 1.8 aren't too dangerous. Endermen deal 5.25 hearts, or 10.5 points of damage. Skeletons do up to 5 points of damage, or 3.5 hearts, and slightly more with a Power 5 bow. Wither Skeletons do 12 points of damage, or 6 hearts with 10 seconds of Wither. Other than these mobs, there aren't many that do serious damage. That's it. That's all we gotta worry about. Now we're done.
Next time, we'll just be looking at pure PvP. No funny business, no entity cramming, which doesn't exist in 1.8. No, nothing special. Pure PvP. See you next time.